After the exhausting training session finally ended, Yan Si distributed bottles of basic energy liquid to every student to help them recover. Since the school had limited resources, martial arts classes were held only 3 times a week to prevent overtraining. The remaining school day passed quietly. History class was filled with exhausted students sleeping at their desks, despite teacher Lu Jimao repeatedly slamming the lectern in an attempt to wake them. Yu Fei drifted off as well, only opening his eyes halfway through the following study hall. As he woke up, his deskmate, Li Mengiao, smiled and handed him a peach-flavored yogurt drink, saying she had brought an extra one and could not finish it herself. Still groggy, Yu Fei accepted it without even thanking her. Ever since they had become deskmates, she had constantly shared food with him. Although he had tried refusing at first, her persistence had gradually turned him into someone who simply accepted her kindness as he calmly sipped the yogurt. After school, Yu Fei bought groceries from a store in his residential complex before returning home. His parents were ordinary workers with limited incomes, while his older sister attended college and his younger sister, Yu Wei, was still in middle school. Because the family faced considerable financial pressure, Yu Fei had taken responsibility for many household chores after awakening his past life memories. He had even handled much of Yu Wei's upbringing himself. Since Yu Wei had not returned yet, Yu Fei put on an apron and began preparing dinner. Although he had lived once before, his former experience had not given him the power to completely change his family's circumstances. All he could do was reduce their burden through small efforts. Education remained the main path for ordinary people to improve their lives, while martial arts offered another possibility. Yu Fei's grades were good enough for a regular university, but entering a martial arts university seemed nearly impossible. Applicants generally needed to pass the first 3 body-tempering gates: skin, flesh, and tendons, along with meeting requirements in fitness, techniques, and academics. Out of more than 600 students at the school each year, only around 30 succeeded. While Yu Fei was cooking, Yu Wei returned home and immediately ran into the kitchen. He listed the dishes he had prepared, but when she secretly grabbed a piece of pickled radish with her fingers, he lightly kicked her and ordered her to wash her hands, change her shoes, and put away her school bag. Yu Wei complained before stealing another piece and escaping. That evening, the family ate together. After dinner, Yu Fei returned to his room and studied until midnight. Even martial arts university entrance exams required strong academic performance, and the curriculum included 2 unusual subjects: the human body scripture, which covered meridians, acupoints, qi blood, acupuncture, and massage, and the difficult Great Yu martial scripture, which explained martial cultivation terminology. On Saturday morning, Yu Fei completed his usual run and practiced the ox subduing pile skill in the park. His strong body allowed him 1 additional practice each week without energy liquid. After returning home, he rejected the chance to go out with his family and instead worked through mathematics problems. A little after 11, his mind suddenly jolted. Entering his mental space, he discovered that the azure pearl had finally become completely illuminated. Information flooded into him, revealing its identity as the Destiny Reversal Pearl, an object bound to his soul. The pearl divided talents into 9 color-ranked levels, from gray to gold. Its main ability allowed Yu Fei to copy talents from other living beings. Defeating a marked target would randomly copy 1 talent, while killing it would extract the target's strongest talent. Copied talents could be equipped, upgraded, fused, or smelted into energy points. Yu Fei currently had 3 talent slots, and, because this was the Pearl's first activation, 2 immediate opportunities to copy talents. Realizing that the ability normally had a 1-month cooldown, Yu Fei knew he needed to choose carefully. Killing people was out of the question, and attacking strangers would only turn him into a criminal. Using the Pearl's special vision, he walked through the complex and saw colored gemstones above people's heads. Most were empty, while gray and white talents appeared occasionally. Green was already extremely rare. Unable to find a legal way to defeat a talented person, Yu Fei wandered around until evening. Then he noticed a large, muscular tabby cat with a noble blue gemstone above its head. At that moment, he realized the pearl worked on all living beings, not just humans. Attacking a person was illegal, but fighting a stray cat would only make him look strange. With his first target finally chosen, Yu Fei began walking directly toward the tabby. The moment Yu Fei got within 3 meters of the powerful tabby, it darted into the bushes and disappeared. Refusing to give up, he hurried to the pet shop at the entrance of the residential complex, bought a can of cat food and a small bag of kibble, then returned to wait patiently. The first cat to appear was only a gray talent tuxedo cat instead of the blue talent tabby he wanted. Disappointed, Yu Fei reluctantly offered it only a little kibble while keeping the expensive canned food for his real target. Even after finishing the food, the tuxedo cat refused to leave. It rubbed against his legs, rolled over to expose its belly, and kept staring at the unopened can. Left with no choice, Yu Fei spent his time petting it as more and more stray cats gradually gathered around him. Before long, Yu Wei found him and told him their father was waiting for dinner. She called the tuxedo cat ugly because of the black patch beside its nose, yet immediately crouched down to scratch its chin herself. Yu Fei admitted he was busy petting cats, leaving his sister convinced he had gone crazy before she returned home alone. Night fell. Mosquitoes covered his legs with bites, and nearly all of his kibble was gone. Just as Yu Fei was beginning to think the blue talent tabby would never appear, a large, muscular tabby suddenly charged into the area. The smaller stray cats immediately scattered out of its way, proving it ruled the neighborhood. Excited, Yu Fei poured out the last of the kibble, opened the can of cat food, and placed everything before the tabby. As it lowered its guard and began eating, Yu Fei quietly walked behind it and activated the Destiny Reversal Pearl's marking ability. The blue gemstone above the cat's head shone brilliantly. He grabbed the tabby by the scruff, pinned it firmly to the ground, and held its hind legs to stop it from escaping. The startled tabby let out an angry cry while the surrounding cats watched from a distance. Yu Fei had no intention of killing it. He simply wanted to see whether completely subduing it would count as defeating it. Inside his mental space, the Destiny Reversal Pearl flashed, confirming that the talent had been successfully copied. Delighted, Yu Fei immediately released the cat. The furious tabby leaped backward, arched its body, puffed up its fur, and hissed at him, while Yu Fei wisely retreated, leaving all the food behind before heading home. Ignoring his father's confused expression, Yu Fei rushed into his bedroom and checked the pearl. One copying opportunity remained, and he had obtained the blue-quality talent Super Speed Reaction, which increased his base neural reaction speed 7-fold. The pearl informed him that loading the talent would take an hour, so he told his father he was going to sleep and should not be disturbed. As the talent fused with his body, a numb current spread from his brain throughout his entire nervous system, eventually forcing him into a semi-conscious state. When he woke an hour later, he immediately noticed the difference. Dropping a pen, he watched it fall in slow motion and effortlessly caught it between his toes before it hit the floor. The talent felt completely natural, as though it had always belonged to him. The next morning, Yu Fei eagerly practiced the ox-subduing pile skill again. His enhanced neural reactions gave him incredible control over every movement, allowing him to make perfect adjustments throughout the technique. Halfway through the practice, he finally felt a warm current flowing through his body before settling into his skin. After weeks of failure, Yu Fei had finally perceived Qi blood and stepped across the true threshold of martial arts. He immediately understood that everything had changed. Without the Destiny Reversal Pearl, his hard work alone might have improved his ordinary life, but now his future on the martial Dao finally seemed limitless. Practicing the pile skill no longer exhausted his vitality. Instead, the newly formed Qi blood remained sealed within his body, nourishing his skin and marking his official entry into the first stage of cultivation, skin refining. A new week began, and after finally sensing his Qi blood, Yu Fei looked forward to martial arts class more than ever. Early Monday morning, he arrived at school before everyone else and activated the Destiny Reversal Pearl's special vision to inspect the talents of his classmates. More than half of the class had no talent at all. Among the rest, he found 15 gray talents, 4 white talents, 2 green talents, and only 1 blue talent besides his own. That blue talent belonged to Jiang Yifan. Yu Fei watched as Jiang Yifan chatted with the class beauty, Zhang Qingyu. Jiang Yifan came from a good family, excelled academically, possessed exceptional martial talent, and had every teacher's admiration. Zhang Qingyu also held a rare green quality talent, and together they ranked first and second in the class. In Yu Fei's eyes, they looked like the perfect pair, but Yu Fei's thoughts quickly drifted elsewhere. Since the Destiny Reversal Pearl required him to defeat or kill a target to obtain their talent, he started wondering how he could legitimately beat Jiang Yifan. A life that was too smooth would only slow Jiang Yifan's growth, Yu Fei joked to himself. So perhaps becoming a stumbling block wasn't such a bad idea. His train of thought was interrupted by his friend Lei Xiaoqiang, who noticed the strange expression on his face and asked what evil plan he was plotting. Looking at the bright green glow above Xiaoqiang's head, Yu Fei casually replied that his head was green. Xiao Chang completely misunderstood the joke and proudly declared that his right hand would never betray him. The ridiculous response left Yu Fei speechless. He even began doubting whether Xiao Chang's green talent represented anything useful at all. Sitting nearby, Li Mengiao overheard the conversation, became embarrassed by the direction it took, and quietly decided to avoid talking to Xiao Qiang in the future. Her thoughts then drifted toward Yu Fei, and after unconsciously glancing at his hands, she blushed and hurriedly raised her voice to continue reading. Yu Fei eventually gave up any thought of copying Xiao Chang's talent. His copying opportunities were limited, and he had to use them wisely. Instead, he spent the rest of the school day trying to come up with a reasonable excuse to fight Jiang Yifan before Jiang Yifan grew even stronger. Soon, martial arts class began. This time, Yan Si introduced a new foundational martial technique called the Six Harmonies Killing Fist. Although it was called a fist technique, it actually taught the proper methods of generating force throughout the entire body and served as the foundation for nearly every advanced martial art. Yan Si also announced that they would no longer focus on the ox-subduing pile skill. After an entire month, anyone who still had not sensed Qi blood simply lacked the necessary talent to progress very far. Before beginning the lesson, Yan Si gathered the class and explained that true martial artists were forged through combat, not training alone. Strength depended on cultivation and techniques, but how much of that strength could be used in battle ultimately depended on one's will. He ordered everyone to stand within 5 meters of him before silently assuming a fighting stance. The instant he opened his eyes, Yu Fei felt as though a terrifying beast had appeared before him. Yan Si's overwhelming qi blood surged like a roaring river, and the pressure alone nearly suffocated him. When Yan Si casually threw a punch, the invisible beast seemed to lunge straight at him. Only by pushing his superspeed reaction talent to its limit did Yu Fei break free from the terrifying illusion. As everything returned to normal, he realized Yan Si had never moved from his original position. That single punch completely shattered Yu Fei's understanding of martial arts. For the first time in both his lives, he truly understood how powerful martial artists could become, and he found himself craving strength more than ever before. Satisfied with the fear and respect in the students' eyes, Yan Si announced that he wanted 2 students to fight now and then fight again 1 month later, to demonstrate the importance of martial techniques. He immediately chose Jiang Yifan as the first participant. Before Yan Si could select the second fighter, Yu Fei rushed forward with both hands raised and loudly volunteered to become Jiang Yifan's opponent, catching even Yan Si by surprise. Although Jiang Yifan was considered the most talented student in class 2 to 6, Yan Si had originally planned to pair him with Du Mingxuan. Jiang Yifan had already completed more than half of his skin refining, while Du Mingxuan had relied on expensive supplements to stay close behind. Yan Si believed those two would become the class's strongest rivals and push each other toward the martial arts university entrance exam. But after carefully observing Yu Fei, Yan Si noticed that he had finally entered the threshold of martial arts by sensing his qi blood. Although he had started later than the others, Yan Si decided he was still worth nurturing. Smiling, he accepted Yu Fei's request and officially announced that he would spar against Jiang Yifan. The class gathered around the training ground while Yu Fei quietly celebrated. He had spent the entire day searching for a legitimate reason to fight Jiang Yifan, and now his opportunity had arrived without breaking any school rules. Yan Si gave the signal to begin. Jiang Yifan stood proudly in place and simply crooked a finger, inviting Yu Fei to attack first. In his eyes, Yu Fei was nothing more than a handsome boy with average grades, a poor family background, and unimpressive martial talent. He believed Yu Fei's confidence was nothing but an act. Yu Fei calmly activated the Destiny Reversal Pearl's marking ability and tagged Jiang Yifan as his target. He even noticed that Yan Si also possessed a rare blue-quality talent. As he slowly walked forward, Yu Fei carefully analyzed the situation. Jiang Yifan's physique was stronger thanks to his earlier progress in cultivation, while Yu Fei's greatest advantage was the super speed reaction talent he had copied from the tabby cat. Jiang Yifan suddenly charged forward and threw a powerful straight punch at Yu Fei's face. To everyone else, the attack was extremely fast. But through Yu Fei's enhanced neural reactions, everything slowed to a crawl. He calmly stepped to the side and raised his elbow directly into the punch's path. A sharp crunch echoed through the field as Jiang Yifan smashed his own nose into Yu Fei's elbow. Tears instantly streamed from his eyes as he clutched his face and dropped into a squat. Yu Fei immediately recognized it as the body's natural tear reflex after a nose strike. Lei Xiaochang shouted from the sidelines that Yu Fei had actually made Jiang Yifan cry. Humiliated Humiliated in front of the entire class, Jiang Yifan exploded with anger. Convinced the first exchange had been pure bad luck, he charged again. This time he leaped into the air with a powerful flying kick. The kick looked impressive, but Yu Fei saw every movement in slow motion. He calmly stepped aside, planted his feet, and simply held his clenched fist at exactly the right height. Jiang Yifan completely missed his target. Instead, he flew straight into Yu Fei's stationary fist, taking a devastating blow to his groin. The impact instantly drained every bit of strength from his body, and he collapsed onto the ground in unbearable pain. The entire class fell silent before everyone gasped at once. Even Lei Xiaochang clicked his tongue, admitting that Yu Fei fought in an unbelievably dirty way. Having known Yu Fei since childhood, he wasn't surprised at all. Beneath Yu Fei's calm appearance was someone who could be ruthless when necessary. Watching from the side, Yan Si narrowed his eyes. He could tell the victory was no accident. Yu Fei's reaction speed was simply extraordinary. Inside his mental space, the Destiny Reversal Pearl confirmed that the talent replication had succeeded. Satisfied, Yu Fei walked over with a smile and apologized, claiming he hadn't meant to hurt Jiang Yifan. Still lying on the ground and unable to accept such a humiliating defeat, Jiang Yifan answered with only two furious words: "Fuck off." After the spar ended, Yan Hai immediately gathered the class and reminded everyone that the outcome of a single match meant nothing. On the martial path, victory belonged to the one who survived. He revealed that more than 23,000 martial artists had died in the previous year alone, warning the students that becoming a martial artist was not simply about fame but about carrying responsibility and being prepared to risk their lives. In real combat, there was no room for pride or fairness. Winning by any means necessary was what mattered. He then criticized Jiang Yifan's performance. Although Jiang possessed excellent physical ability, he had failed to use it properly and had fought no better than an ordinary street brawler. A true battle was about life and death, not showing superiority. With the lecture over, Yan Hai officially began teaching the 6 harmonies killing fist. The class started with the simplest movement, the single-line pierce, learning the basic combat patterns that would become the foundation of future martial techniques. From now on, the students would practice the ox subduing pile skill on their own. Cultivation determined a martial artist's strength, but without combat techniques, even a stronger cultivator could easily be defeated. After class, Yan Hai asked Yu Fei and Jiang Yifan to stay behind. While Yu Fei remained relaxed, Jiang Yifan still looked embarrassed after his humiliating defeat. Yan Hai proposed that the two of them spar once every month. Jiang Yifan immediately agreed. He believed his loss had been nothing more than bad luck and overconfidence. Given another chance, he was certain he could defeat Yu Fei. When Yan Hai turned to Yu Fei, he accepted without hesitation. This arrangement was exactly what he wanted. The Destiny Reversal Pearl allowed him to repeatedly mark the same target, meaning he could copy Jiang Yifan's blue-quality talent again every month without harming him. Since blue was the highest talent Yu Fei had discovered anywhere in Tianing County, there was no reason to search elsewhere for now. Yan Hai was pleased with both responses. In his eyes, Yu Fei possessed exceptional combat instincts, while Jiang Yifan had astonishing learning ability. He believed Jiang Yifan would eventually surpass Yu Fei in cultivation and martial techniques, making their future matches valuable motivation for both students. As encouragement, Yan Hai opened a cabinet and handed each of them a box of vitality elixir. He instructed them to divide each pill into 10 pieces, take 1 piece every 2 days with warm water, and immediately practice the ox subduing pile skill afterward. The medicine was even more effective than blood storage powder. He also warned them not to tell anyone about it. Neither Yu Fei nor Jiang Yifan dared accept such an expensive gift at first. Yan Hai simply smiled and explained that this was an investment in talented students. Martial artists earned and spent enormous amounts of money, and he only hoped they would cultivate diligently in return. Yu Fei remained cautious despite accepting the gift. His experience from 2 lifetimes had taught him that generosity rarely came without a reason. Still, he desperately needed cultivation resources, so he decided to use the medicine first and worry about Yan Hai's true intentions later. On the way back, Jiang Yifan stayed silent, still brooding over his defeat, while Yu Fei's thoughts were already focused on loading Jiang Yifan's newly copied talent and making the most of the vitality elixir. With both Yan Hai's support and Jiang Yifan's talent, Yu Fei expected his own cultivation to improve rapidly over the next month, making Jiang Yifan's hoped-for revenge much harder to achieve. Back in the classroom, everyone quietly whispered about the earlier fight. Zhang Qingyu comforted Jiang Yifan, helping lift his mood, while while Du Mingxuan approached Yu Fei instead. He joked that Yu Fei had only won through unbelievable luck and challenged him to spar another day, with one condition: no attacks below the belt. Yu Fei laughed and agreed, though he was already wondering whether he could somehow convince his wealthy friend to share some precious energy fluid. Even with Yanhai's medicine, cultivation remained expensive, and his family's financial situation made every resource count. After getting home, Yu Fei quickly prepared a simple dinner with 2 cold dishes and some steamed buns. The meal was much plainer than usual, leaving Yu Wei poking at her food with little appetite. She accused her brother of secretly eating all the meat, but Yu Fei simply told her to eat if she wanted or leave if she didn't. Offended, Yu Wei pouted and stormed back to her room. Later that night, Yu Fei once again told his parents not to disturb him before locking himself inside his bedroom. Outside Mrs. Yu quietly wondered whether her teenage son was secretly taking care of private matters. Mr. Yu could only laugh, telling her to stop imagining things before heading downstairs to buy snacks for Yu Wei. At Mrs. Yu's reminder, he also bought some for Yu Fei and even picked up a chicken foot for her. Inside his room, Yu Fei prepared to load the talent he had copied from Jiang Yifan. The blue-quality talent was extraordinary comprehension, which greatly enhanced logical thinking, memory, and understanding. As the talent fused with him, a cool sensation spread through his brain, almost as if countless neurons were connecting before his eyes. Half an hour later, the process was complete. Curious about the result, Yu Fei immediately opened his math workbook and looked at a problem that had stumped him for half an hour earlier that day. This time, the answer appeared almost instantly. Within a minute, he had completed the solution with complete confidence. The improvement left him stunned. Combined with super-speed reaction, his mind now worked at an unbelievable speed. Looking at the blue talent floating inside the Destiny Reversal Pearl, Yu Fei couldn't help grinning. From now on, he believed he could finally become one of the top students. Feeling refreshed, he walked out of his room and found his entire family happily eating late-night snacks without him. Pretending to be heartbroken, he dramatically accused them of forgetting him before announcing that he didn't want any of the snacks and storming out of the house. His parents immediately understood he was only joking, but after he left, Mr. Yu admitted that he often felt guilty. He believed Yu Fei had sacrificed far more for the family than a child his age should have. Mrs. Yu agreed and suggested buying him a case of energy fluid with next month's salary and performance bonus to support his martial arts training. Mr. Yu accepted without hesitation, while Yu Wei unsuccessfully tried to claim the snacks that had been saved for her brother. Meanwhile, Yu Fei jogged to a nearby park, stretched and swallowed 1/10 of a vitality elixir with warm water. The medicine immediately turned into a wave of scorching energy inside his body. Without wasting a second, he began practicing the ox-subduing pile skill. This time, everything felt different. Thanks to his enhanced comprehension and lightning-fast reactions, Yu Fei realized the standard movements of the cultivation technique were only a general template. Every person's body was different, meaning the stances could be adjusted for even better results. As he repeated the technique, he made countless tiny corrections, changing each movement by only fractions of an inch. Every adjustment made his qi blood circulate more efficiently. Before long, the warm current surged through his body and gathered beneath his skin, causing an intense itching sensation that he endured without stopping. 5 complete rounds later, the effects of the vitality elixir were exhausted. Although his movements still resembled the original ox-subduing pile skill, they had become smoother, more natural, and uniquely suited to his own body. Yu Fei had unknowingly reached the minor accomplishment stage of the ox-subduing pile skill, proving he had gone beyond merely copying the technique and had begun adapting it for himself. With 2 months' worth of vitality elixir remaining, he estimated that if everything continued smoothly, he would soon complete the skin-refining stage of cultivation. Time quickly passed, and the semester's first monthly exams arrived. Although Yu Fei had always studied diligently, his natural aptitude had limited him to an average ranking between 20th and 25th in his class. But after obtaining the extraordinary comprehension talent, everything changed. The knowledge he had accumulated over the years suddenly connected together, making every subject far easier to understand. During the exams, Yu Fei was assigned to Exam Hall 10 because his previous ranking was outside the top 300 in the grade. Armed with both extraordinary comprehension and super speed reaction, he solved nearly every question effortlessly. Mathematics became especially easy. He completed the entire paper in just over 30 minutes, spending only a few minutes on the final problem before confidently handing in his test and leaving the room. His early submission shocked everyone, including the proctor, who assumed Yu Fei had simply given up on the exam. After the tests, students filled the classroom with cries of regret as they compared answers and discovered careless mistakes. Meanwhile, Yu Fei quietly waited for the results, while martial arts class was postponed until Thursday because of the exams. When martial arts resumed, Yan-Si continued teaching the 6 harmonies killing fist and added practical sparring exercises. This time, Yu Fei was paired with Du Mingxuan. The class focused on the first form, one-line pierce, a straightforward technique that gathered all of the body's qi, blood, and strength into a single powerful strike. Although Du Mingxuan's skin-refining progress was far ahead of Yu Fei's comprehension gave him a completely different advantage. While practicing, Yu Fei quickly mastered the technique and successfully condensed his qi blood into powerful punches that left Du Mingxuan wincing in pain. His only limitation was the small amount of qi blood he currently possessed, forcing him to stop after only a few attacks. Rather than keeping his understanding to himself, Yu Fei patiently shared everything he had learned. By the end of class, Du Mingxuan had finally succeeded in delivering his own qi blood-enhanced punch, leaving him overjoyed. From that moment on, his attitude toward Yu Fei became noticeably friendlier. The following day, Yan-Si announced that the school would reorganize every martial arts student at the end of the semester. Those unwilling to pursue martial arts could drop the course entirely, while the remaining students would be divided into an accelerated class, 2 intermediate classes, and a standard class. Nearly every student admitted to martial arts universities came from the accelerated class, and rankings would remain competitive since lower-ranked students could challenge those above them at any time. Yu Fei welcomed the system. It would give him plenty of opportunities to climb higher. When the monthly exam results were finally released, the entire class was stunned. Yu Fei had jumped to 5th place in class 2 to 6 and 50th in the entire grade. Even more shocking, he had scored a perfect 150 in mathematics, beating Jiang Yifan's impressive 146. The unbelievable improvement immediately sparked rumors. Nearly everyone believed Yu Fei had somehow obtained the exam questions beforehand. Even when he jokingly claimed that he had simply upgraded his brain, nobody believed him. Lei Xiaochang teased him relentlessly until Yu Fei shut him up with a quick dragon claw hand. Even their homeroom teacher, Zhang Kun, secretly reviewed the exam surveillance footage. Watching Yu Fei solve the math paper, almost without hesitation, only made him more suspicious. Although Zhang Kun couldn't prove anything, he remained unconvinced and merely encouraged Yu Fei to continue working hard instead of praising him. The reaction was completely different from what Yu Fei had imagined. Instead of admiration, he found himself surrounded by doubt. Still, he decided that time would eventually prove everyone wrong. Among all his classmates, only Li Mengyao believed him without hesitation. She handed him a blueberry yogurt drink and confidently told him that she believed he was capable of becoming first in the class. Touched by her trust, Yu Fei gratefully accepted it. Before the warm moment could continue, Lei Xiaochang jokingly claimed Li Mengyao was already preparing to meet Yu Fei's parents. Blushing bright red, Li Mengyao immediately grabbed her Martial Sutra dictionary and smacked him over the head, sending the entire classroom into laughter. As the weather turned colder, coughing filled the classroom. Most students who had already condensed qi blood remained healthy, but Li Mengyao had caught a severe cold despite ranking near the top of the class in both academics and martial arts. Seeing her pale face and watery eyes, Yu Fei handed her a new thermos filled with ginger soup he had prepared that morning. After drinking so many yogurt drinks from her, he felt it was only right to return the favor. Li Mengyao accepted it with overwhelming happiness. The warm, spicy soup soothed her throat, but she became so emotional that tears rolled down her cheeks with every sip, leaving Yu Fei completely confused. Lei Xiaochang immediately began making sarcastic comments and loudly begged for ginger soup of his own. After enduring enough teasing, Yu Fei grabbed him in a chokehold before pouring half of his own drink into Xiaochang's cup. Even after being roughed up, Xiaochang happily drank it without complaint. During math class, Zhang Kun once again called Yu Fei to the blackboard. Over the past month, this had become a regular habit. No matter what problem he was given, Yu Fei solved it flawlessly and without hesitation. Zhang Kun had finally accepted that Yu Fei's sudden improvement was real. Instead of suspecting him, he now regarded him as a rare genius who might even improve improve the teacher's year-end performance bonus. That afternoon, martial arts class arrived, and Yu Fei's progress had become impossible to ignore. With the vitality elixir, the case of energy liquid his mother had bought him, and his 2 blue talents, he could now train every day. He had raised the ox-subduing pile skill to major mastery, and the straight-line fist to minor mastery. Major mastery allowed him to control his chi blood naturally, adapt the pile skill's variations, and fully absorb the benefits of medicine, food, and energy liquid. His extraordinary insight helped him understand cultivation techniques, while super speed reaction gave him precise control over every tiny movement. Together, the 2 talents increased his learning efficiency far beyond a simple 7-fold improvement. The entire class was waiting for one event, Yu Fei's scheduled rematch with Jiang Yifan. During the past month, both had dominated their classmates, yet they had never fought each other. Jiang Yifan's confidence had completely recovered. He was only about a week away from completing skin refining and had nearly reached minor mastery in the straight-line fist. Looking back, he considered his previous defeat nothing more than an embarrassing accident. When Yan Si allowed the match to begin, Jiang Yifan prepared to erase his humiliation. Yu Fei, however, was equally delighted. The Destiny Reversal Pearl's copying ability had refreshed, and Jiang Yifan's blue talent was ready to be harvested again. After marking him, Yu Fei raised his hand and crooked his finger, repeating the exact gesture Jiang Yifan had used during their first fight. "Get over here!" The provocation instantly destroyed Jiang Yifan's composure. Memories of his previous defeat and the lingering pain from the strike below his waist rushed back. His chi blood surged as fury overwhelmed him, while Yan Si silently judged that losing control of his emotions had already cost him half the battle. With a roar, Jiang Yifan charged. He combined lunging punches and flying kicks, creatively adapting the straight-line fist while infusing every strike with ki blood. Each attack carried enough power to seriously injure an ordinary person. Yu Fei narrowed his eyes and pushed super speed reaction to its limit. He would not underestimate Jiang Yifan, but he had no intention of retreating. As Jiang attacked with chi blood, Yu Fei gathered his own strength to meet him head-on, determined not to take even a single step backward. Jiang Yifan unleashed punch after punch, but every attack was intercepted before it could land. Yu Fei's mastery of the one-line pierce was far more refined, and his chi blood was condensed with remarkable precision. Combined with his 7-fold enhanced neural reaction speed, he needed only a fraction of his strength to neutralize Jiang Yifan's relentless assault. To Yu Fei, every movement looked painfully slow. He watched Jiang Yifan's muscles tense, his waist twist, and his chi blood gather before each strike. Rather than waiting for the attacks to arrive, Yu Fei struck first, targeting Jiang Yifan's wrists, ankles, and shins to disrupt the flow of chi blood before the attacks were fully unleashed. As the battle continued, a new realization suddenly dawned on him. He discovered that every attack began from the waist, with ki blood surging from the heart before reaching the limbs. After mentally testing the idea countless times in an instant, he changed his strategy. Whenever Jiang Yifan punched, Yu Fei punched as well. Whenever Jiang Yifan kicked, Yu Fei answered with a kick. Instead of aiming for Jiang Yifan himself, however, he struck directly into the path of the incoming attack. With his extraordinary reflexes, he could make tiny corrections at the last moment, perfectly intercepting every movement. The effect was devastating. Jiang Yifan felt as though he was repeatedly throwing his own limbs into Yu Fei's attacks. His wrists, ankles, and shins were struck again and again until every exchange became increasingly painful. Finally, Yu Fei landed a heavy punch to Jiang Yifan's ribs, forcing him to stagger backward while gasping for breath. Meanwhile, Yu Fei calmly shifted into another stance as if nothing had happened. Watching from the sidelines, Yan Si's expression gradually became serious. He realized Yu Fei was performing something known as a read, a level of combat awareness normally seen only when a vastly superior martial artist completely predicted and suppressed every move of a weaker opponent. Such skill had no business appearing in a fight between two students of similar cultivation. Yan Si was even more shocked when he realized Yu Fei's cultivation had nearly caught up to Jiang Yifan's in only a month. The vitality elixir alone could never explain such explosive progress. For a moment, Yan Si even wondered whether Yu Fei had secretly found some mysterious master to guide him. At the same time, he became concerned that Yu Fei might have encountered forbidden cultivation methods used by dangerous organizations and decided he would investigate the matter later. Unable to endure the humiliation, Jiang Yifan ignored the pain and charged once more. This time, Yu Fei accurately predicted his movement and unleashed a flying kick empowered by the advanced application of the one-line pierce. His chi blood erupted, increasing the kick's power by nearly 30%. The kick struck Jiang Yifan squarely, sending him flying backward exactly like their first fight. This time, however, Yu Fei did not pursue him. Jiang Yifan crashed to the ground, coughed up blood-stained saliva, and completely lost the ability to continue. Yan Si immediately stepped in, helping Jiang Yifan to his feet before using a special strike on his back to clear the blockage in his breathing. He then pulled Yu Fei over as well, moving so quickly that even Yu Fei's enhanced reflexes could barely follow his hand. Inside his mental space, the Destiny Reversal Pearl confirmed another successful copy of Jiang Yifan's blue-quality talent. Since duplicate talents could not be equipped, Yu Fei quietly planned to smelt it into energy points later for future upgrades. Turning to the rest of the class, Yan Si sternly rebuked the students who had laughed during the match. He challenged anyone who believed they could survive even a minute against either Yu Fei or Jiang Yifan, but no one dared answer. Yan Si warned them that the outside world was far crueler than school. Mocking powerful martial artists could cost someone their life, and ordinary people had to learn to respect strength if they wished to survive. After ordering the class to resume sparring, he called Yu Fei and Jiang Yifan aside for private guidance. Looking at them both, he calmly asked whether they understood the mistakes they had made during the battle. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you like Yu's adventure, so hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for the next part and more upcoming videos.